Lions will be the subject of today's video. No, not house lions. I mean real lions, and more specifically, two lions known as the Tsavo Maneaters. Before we get to the man-eating lions portion of the video, first we need to go over a little bit of history. So in the 1890s, Britain was still trying to solidify its control over Eastern Africa, and more specifically, Lake Victoria, the source of the Nile River. So to achieve this goal, in 1896, the project was greenlit to build a railroad from Mombasa on the coast to Kisumu on the interior on the coast of Lake Victoria. So the construction on the railway began in March of 1896 in Mombasa. However, our story doesn't start until March of 1898, with the arrival of Lieutenant Colonel John Patterson to oversee the construction of a bridge over the Tsavo River. So the Lions' reign of terror began the very same night of Patterson's arrival. Under the cover of darkness, the lion would creep into the camps and snatch one of the many workers out of their tents to be devoured. So Colonel Patterson did not take this first disappearance seriously whatsoever. In fact, he chalked it up to a robbery, as disposing of a body in this area would have been super easy. So what really got Patterson's attention was when a man by the name of Singh was dragged away by the lions. Singh was a jemadar, an ancient class of Indian warriors, and he was contracted as a kind of peacekeeper for the camp. When Singh failed to arrive at the morning meetings, Patterson decided to investigate, as Singh was unlikely to fall to thievery or robbery. So in Singh's tent, they found all of the evidence of a lion attack. They found heel and hand marks into the sand where Singh had tried to escape, as well as lion prints, or pug marks as Patterson called them in his memoir, but he was no match for the lion. The other workers in the tent said that around midnight, the lion entered the tent and grabbed Singh by the leg and dragged him out. Patterson proceeded to track the lion several miles, as he called it, and they eventually found what was left of Singh. Surrounding the pieces were the distinct paw marks of two lions. So Patterson buried the body and then returned to camp. So from that night, and most nights moving forward, Patterson would be in a tree waiting for the lions to arrive so he could end the monsters. So after this night, the lions would routinely enter the camp, and at first, it was only one at a time to select their prey, and nothing anybody did would stop them. They were not afraid of campfires and thorn fences called bomas that were erected to protect the tents. The lions would jump straight over them. They were not spooked by pots and pans rattling. They were not afraid. And eventually they got brazen enough where both lions would enter the camp at the same time, and each one would drag a victim to their doom. So according to Patterson's writings, the lions would end up killing a grand total of 135 people. And it got so bad that the workers would abandon the work site and would not return until the lions were dealt with. And for a while, the attacks did stop. But soon reports came flooding in from other surrounding settlements of very similar lion attacks. And Patterson continued to hunt these lions to no avail. He waited in tree stands and set traps, but they were elusive. But finally, on December 9th of 1889, he got a shot off on one of the lions. It crippled its rear leg, and early in the morning, it came back around stalking him, and he got off the last shot and killed the first of the lions. The lion measured 9 feet 8 inches from nose to tail tip and took 8 men to carry it back to camp. So the second man-eater was killed 20 days later, and it was shot up to 6 times. The first shot that found its mark was shot by Patterson after he had built a pen near a goat that the lion had killed. The next 2 shots were 11 days later as the lion was stalking him. And finally, Patterson offered the killing blows the next morning when he shot the lion twice in the chest and once in the head. So, after the lion's end, the construction on the bridge was completed in February of 1899, and the construction on the entire railway was completed in 1901. Now, as for the fate of the lions, they were used as Patterson's floor rug trophies 25 years before they were sold to the Chicago Field Museum for $5,000. The hides were in very rough shape, but they were reconstructed and are now on display in the Chicago Field Museum along with their skulls. So here's a few photos from the Field Museum. As you can see, they are 2 maneless male lions. And here are their skulls. Now, as for why these particular lions were so hell-bent on consuming humans, there are a couple of working theories. The first reason being that the lion's teeth were damaged. And recent studies show that one of the lions did indeed have an infection at the root of one of his canine teeth, and thus that weakened their ability to hunt their normal prey. Second reason being is that there was a cattle disease spreading through Africa at the time, and thus greatly reducing their normal prey numbers. And the third reason being that they were already used to consuming humans, as there was a very active slave trade in the area, and there were a lot of dead bodies resulting that were dumped in the river. And there was a recent study done in 2017 on the hair from the lions that did indeed confirm that they had consumed humans. And that number is anywhere from 25 to 35, which is vastly less than the 135 that was initially reported. And that, my friends, has been the story of the Tsavo Maneaters. So if you like this kind of creepy content, please like and subscribe.